Hello. Today I'm here to brief. Let me turn the fan off. Today I'm here to brief you about any irregularities within YouTube's systems or YouTube or from YouTube themselves, any individuals for them or even on the same piece of land, especially within the United States of America. Anyone with allegiance to them in general is that their actions have to conform to the laws of the land that the services are offered in. That's the bottom line. You cannot conduct intimidation against users who use the systems. You cannot do it. Because if I were to do this, they say it's, whoa, whoa, whoa. But you can see here, this is actually a display capture within OBS Studio of an authentic recording, which was a minor adjustment according to their policies for modified content, which they would declare so-called I should leave it in this state. If I were to resize this incorrectly, they could say is altered synthetic or seems real. So this question about altered synthetic content, can I get this to resize? And within YouTube, you would arrive at a question when you upload any content. Now, the altered content section itself is intentionally misleading to anyone using the services of YouTube. It is specifically for their corporation. It seems to be tipped in the favor of trademark holders, copyright holders who use brute force methods to remove other people from the platform without the due process of law, which most of the time can be declared from the courts as illegal. Now, YouTube is a service. It runs in the United States of America, and I would have to outline everything here specifically that we and I myself can refute. It is not class action against you. It is me, myself against you, rather than the whole platform or them. It is me against you. It is not class action. Meaning anything I say cannot be manipulated by a class action plaintiffs. Now, disclosing use of altered or synthetic content. Users, when they upload, should not be required. This is practically military level briefing, right? I'm going to scroll through this, and then I'm going to actually outline the simple fact that idea generation being in here, because the trademark system, the copyright system, declares and states that legally anything I create is mine. Period. Bottom line. That's the bottom line. To put this in here under minor, it means they are undermining this as something in here like this is idea generation. Anything I create belongs to me. Anything I own belongs to me. Period. The bottom line, it is my property. It is irrefutable. And I will go through this. Look. So I'm going to outline the reason for this is because systems like the courthouses can ask you a question 100 times, they can ask you 101 times, and like the military or a terrorist organization holding you hostage, make you do something you don't want with the presence of firearms and the structure. which is why I'm going to have to brief you on this. And I'm going to actually scroll through this for the record so that the courthouse can see that they did change the policies within YouTube. However, it still had to pass through the court systems. It still had to go through the courts. That is the bottom line. That is the law of the United States of America. And it maybe even is the law of other territories as well. Because they were always threatening to remove me for reading my Japanese textbooks, which I legally own. I nev- I've never gave them any leverage, any standing within my head or anyone around myself's heads for them to pull off any military level maneuvers that would hijack or sabotage them directly to be working for them instead of for the actual legal system. Now, what they're doing is they're attempting to declare a policy that would brute force your material and attempt to remove power from people that aren't within their corporations, establishments, theirs specifically. It is sabotaging you so that they would attempt to try to default you through the legal system. Is that YouTube, they could not actually straight up default you through the legal system simply by releasing a policy change, because a policy change had to go through the court system. When you perform a legal process, you had to acquire due process of law from the courts. Period. That is the end of it. Due process of law from the courts. The policies describe the actions they can perform in terminating your accounts, which most of the time isn't legal for them to terminate your accounts in the first place, but they reserve the rights to terminate your accounts through the guidelines. However, it doesn't mean that the actions they've taken was in any way legal, and it doesn't mean they're not performing brute force. It doesn't mean they're ruining you, your status, your currency, your gains. It doesn't mean they're not indirectly causing your death in the near future over an extended period of time, the next year, or the factors. It doesn't mean they're tipping the factors to cause actions to happen to you or not. They could cause actions to happen to you through this platform alone because it's so widespread. It is in the courts throughout every other American home. It is not to be undermined and played down like this with a simple, hey, policy. No, it had to go through the due process of law from the courts. You cannot infringe on the Americans' First Amendment rights to the freedom of speech. You cannot use your name brand to crush those small names and to crush their First Amendment rights to the freedom of speech. You still had to go through the court systems with the due process of law and obtain approval, certifications from the courts. You need to get it certified from the courts. When you perform actions against your individuals, you cannot go to the courts and then give them your name, give them your currency, give them your balance of your bank account. You cannot just go to them and then say, because you are big or this big. You had to provide a valid reason. It had not to be sociable. It can't be social. It had to be a valid legal reason. Due process of law from the courts, period. Your story round stunning, by the way. for future reference, they do use various different terminologies. You cannot hide your terminologies. You cannot make it legally confusing for the general American population within the United States of America to comprehend. You cannot use that to attempt to declare a default immunity from legal action from the courts for injustice, period. You cannot do it. Bottom line. Oh, by the way, folder's already created. He says, someone has to put a stop to it, the bottom line. He said there's a ceasefire order against potential brute force actions. Whether they're going to happen or not, possessing the power to do so puts you in suspicion. That's the bottom line. And then it also says the YouTube LLC moving to empower trademark holders and empower corporations and their computer code over weakened individuals. As a result of these policies that I can now see. No, you're actually really disturbed about studying if I have to really do that. There also may need to be a military level movement against the use of a name to crush individuals you proclaim to be of lower status, social standing, or holding of less currency or name branding. It says the military level mobilization against the use of a name to crush individuals you proclaim to be of lower status, social standing, or holding of less currency or name branding. And then I also said governments against actions and regulations that enable brute force against individuals using network services without upholding due process of law from the United States of America's courts. Governance includes combating brute force and they enforce silence upon individuals without due process of law from the courts. That means if you use brute force to force silence on an individual, they have the right in the United States of America to seek action from the courts against you and against any trademarks and copyrights you even attempt to state to have possession of. Any items in my possession are mine, period. That means you need ceasefire orders because you are actually just running around pulling the trigger against people within your platforms, within your electronics, within your tools, your networks, your whatever you want to call it. But these are my glasses on my face. You cannot pull them off of my face because you did not tell me how to manufacture my own glasses in the first place. You were never for me in the first place.